All right, y'all, welcome to another episode of Exposure Runs the Podcast. Every time we have a guest up here, I always say something along the lines of, it's an honor, we're happy to have. This particular guest, everybody should know this guest. If you're from the Chicagoland, the Midwest area, hell, if you're just a fan of high school basketball, you should definitely know this gentleman. I had the pleasure of meeting him years ago. When he came in, I showed him the picture that he took with Xavier back in like 2015. But you know, I'll just go ahead and read off a few things that I got, that I did some research on, if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, all right, cool. So first thing is the impressive reported 51-inch vertical.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
God damn.
Yeah, that's true.
ESPN reported best freshman in 92-93, three-time parade All-American. Senior year averaged 32 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 4.5 blocks, 4 steals. But here's those numbers alone is impressive. This is the most impressive one because who the fuck was keeping track of 4.5 dunks per game?
Yeah, our coach Ron Astridge. He was keeping track of all that stuff.
4.5 dunks per game. Reportedly, no, actually not reportedly, because I actually seen it with my own eyes on the video. Jumped over a player in high school before Vince Carter did it in the Olympics. Consensus first All-American for Parade, USA Today, and McDonald's. Now I don't know if this record still stands, and you can correct me. Third all-time leading scorer for CPS with 2,619 points.
I think that might still stand.
That still stands.
I think so.
Okay.
The top 5 at least.
Top 5 at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Played in the CBA, 3-time All-Star, 3-time All-First Team, All-CBA Second Team, CBA Defensive Team, CBA All-Rookie Team, 2-time scoring champ, 4-time steals leader. And I wrote this one down because I don't know if you know this. I'm from Philadelphia, so you played for the Penn Valley Dogs twice.
Daryl Dawkins.
Yes. Okay. And then, of course, you started your career in the CBA with the Rockford Light. Of course, we got to mention them. But your playing career was extensive and very, very impressive. We'd like to welcome Coach Ronnie Fields to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being up here, sir. It's actually a very honor to have you up here. Our goal with this podcast and this platform is just to kind of, particularly for me as an outsider, is to kind of bridge that the Chicago basketball culture, and like you are you are a huge part of that Chicago culture of basketball, particularly when it comes to high school and just everything that you've given back to the game in this city. So we are very honored to have you up here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Definitely. Do you know anything about our platform, the Exposure Runs platform, at all?
Well, so when you reached out to me and I got a chance to like check it out and look at some of them, guests you have, which is, Chicago Lure, which is, with Mike Irvin, Coach Mike Irvin, and Rob Smith. That's when I was like, oh yeah, that's good, because you get a chance to come out here and continue to talk about, Chicago hoops, guys that have been around forever and seen so many great players, and then coach a lot of great players as well. So for me, it was a no-brainer to come out and just share my part. So
let me tell you what made me reach out to you. So I think the day, either 2 days or the day before, I actually reached out to you, and if I'm not mistaken, I would have to check. It might have been that same day. I was on the phone with one of my guys, Coach Marlon London, who's over at EIU.
Oh, yes.
And so he reached out to me. Well, I'm sorry, we were already on the phone. We were talking about, just kind of talking. He was like, he called me like, yo, I really like the podcast. I just wanted to give you your flowers, blah, blah, blah. He said, man, you should try to get Ronnie on the show. And I said, I don't really have no connection with him. He's like, well, I'll reach out to him. And now Marlon is my guy. Like, anytime Marlon tell me he's going to do something, he going to do it. It was just one of them things where I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna just reach out. Like, worst case scenario, he'll say he don't answer, or he'll say I don't have time. So I just sent you a nice little message and just kind of explained everything. Instagram keeps you kind of limited for how much you can write. I wrote a lot more than that.
Yeah, so that's when for me, like I said, I love doing the podcast for people that's sending out a lot of positive energy, and especially something that connect with the youth. Because that's one of the biggest things for me, like learning so much over the years from the area, Chicago West Side where I grew up at, and the knowledge that I gained throughout not just my youth, but then playing days. And then understanding when I retired and I came back to see the difference in the youth today in terms of how they approach hard work, the dedication, and the mindset. Because like I said, it's a lot of distractions, even more so in this day and age than when I played. So for me to pretty much try to help and generate as much focus as I can with sitting down with even my AU program that I run and training kids and talking to a lot of the youth for speaking events, is to share the knowledge of the perseverance, the ups and downs, the focus when things are a little bit dark in your life, or how you turn things around. And sometimes it's hard because a lot of people not built the same way, and sometimes you can be given some knowledge or some, advice to people that, may receive in a different way, but might not be as strong as you.
Right. So you got to kind of filter it towards their person.
Filter. And I learned that when I first decided to get into coaching, of the way I was coached, the hard nose, to get out of it, and we just thought that's the way it was. But it also helped us make us stronger down the road. But then I realized, even though that times are changing, just being in a situation where to relate to kids in a different manner and get away from, if I want to get them to work hard and respect what I'm teaching them, is to kind of meet them in halfway where they understand I care about them first, and not just about them playing for me and what they're doing. So
how difficult is that?
It wasn't, once you realize it was just more the caring and showing them that, look, because a lot of kids don't come from 2-parent homes, and you can see that. And then when you get a mixture of kids that you see coming to gym with their parents, both parents, or some come with one parent or a grandma, you also pay attention to the body language of the kids.
Right.
So for me, that's when I knew I had to just change the mindset, because it was just not about the sport of basketball. It was just getting them to understand that people still care. It's not just about you playing for them.
Right.
So they understand that you care for them despite just basketball. Now they willing to go out there and work harder, play for you, and then you treating them the same as if they not the best player to the best player on the team, but you give them the same amount of respect.
Okay.
And once we was able to understand that, and I taught that with my coaches, you start to see more kids embrace. And don't get me wrong, it's hard because me, I'm a competitor, but also you got to know how to bring it back a little, and meet them halfway in terms of seeing what else going on, because there can be some other things going on in their life.
Yeah, this generation of kid, we live in the trophy era, meaning everyone gets a trophy, right? How difficult, and maybe difficult is not the word, how different is that from when you were coming up? And when I say when you were coming up, I know that things change with each, as you get older, right? But I mean, now it's like everybody gets a trophy.
Well, and the thing back then, what it taught you is if you want to achieve something, especially when people talk smack, the way you took it out, if you lost one year, you come back with a vengeance the following year. And that's because you were just taught that way, there's nothing else, to focus on but just getting better.
Right. From the time you lost to the next.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing now is, for me, and at times I'll be a softy at points with my kids, because when you deal with so many of them, and I sometimes erase the basketball to think about what a kid may be dealing with school. At school, some kids will be out there playing because it gets them away from like
Therapy.
a lot of things. Yeah, and some I had kids been bullied a lot. You know, so you have to be willing to, like, as a coach, yes, you want to be competitive. You want to teach them as much as you can. But sometimes having a focus consistently is hard because it can be those type of things that's on that kid's mind where you can be like, oh, you're not listening, you're not paying attention. Whereas, you know, nowadays it's a lot more social media, a lot of things they're exposed to and they deal with more. So you got to try to balance, you know,
how you pouring into them, how you pouring into them. Just to kind of step back just a little bit, now that you are coaching, name your Mount Rushmore of high school coaches.
Oh, man. Whew. You got to go with Rob, you know, over at Simeon. Dorothy Gators.
Okay.
What she had done with girls in the days. Even Nick, when he was coach, Nick Urban, what he has done as well. I said my coach because he had developed a lot of great players as well.
And he just retired.
Shout
out to him. I'd love you to help Nelson. Me get him up here.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, say no more. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I want to get.
Matter of fact, he live out south this way.
Okay, we can talk about that at the
Yeah.
All right.
So
okay.
And, you know, like I said, Pingator was a great coach.
Shout out to Coach, rest in peace.
Bedford at Marshall was another great coach.
Somebody else named him as well. Marshall had a whip back in the day too.
Yes, and the coach at Coach Malnati was at that was at school on the tip of my tongue. But Coach Rick Malnati coached also at Fenwick.
Okay,
and he coached also at the school up north.
Okay.
As well. And who else? Man, some great coaches I watched that.
It's hard to name just four.
Yeah.
It's hard to name just four. Chicago has a nice nucleus.
Hamrick.
Yes.
Coach Hamrick.
Yes.
Man. Let's go, man. We could just have a conversation about that alone. Like I said, we had some great coaches over the years. And then, even like I said, the coach at Benton is another good coach.
Oh, yes. He's been there for a while.
He's been there for a while.
DePaul Prep, they got a nice coach down there.
Coach, yeah. Klein Smith.
Klein Smith is a good coach.
Another great coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So many.
It's so many.
It's so many. I read that you said when you were 17 that you were treated like a rock star. Explain that.
Well, at the time, like, I think at that age, you go to games and, people is like, in the barbershop opting like, all right, I'm going, jumping out of a chair to come watch you play.
Right.
And then a line of people paying prices that they'll pay to go to a Bulls game. At the time, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Like, for us, like, I think especially with a guy like Kevin, the passion to get out there and win and perform was always like a motivation. And so, like, when we had games, we already got to a point where we knew, what the night was going to be like. Selling out places, even with the Kiel Center in St. Louis to the Hoops in the Loop, where we had Method Man, Red Man came and performed.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
We played Rock Island down there at DePaul, one of the practice facility at the times, Alumni Hall. So, and then like we go out to eat places, and people like, oh, you gotta pay for anything. It was just different where you don't experience as, a 17-year-old kid. So everywhere we go, and it was like TV interviews, giving them, and that's the thing my coach used to get mad. They like, why you just always, when you sign stuff game over, you don't give your shoes away. I used to just, people ask fans, I just give away everything.
Real superstar.
Yeah, you just like, hey, here you go. But, that's why I said it was different. And I think in that era started the whole storm where you start putting more high school games because and then LeBron came. So then I was like, it's like, okay, because you got to think at the time, the exposure that me and Kevin had that went, throughout the country.
Yeah, national.
People start like, now we need to start putting these games on TV. Then all of a sudden ESPN.
It came in the picture.
And the thing now, you're putting all kinds of high school everything. People don't want to miss something that's entertaining.
Especially on the internet now.
Like
if you missed it or if you wasn't there, you should at least be able to pull it from somewhere to see it.
Exactly. So like now when you even see the views of people and watch what we's doing, and even one of the guys, that does, he pops on and say, did you know back in the days such and such is I forgot his name.
Jay Dilla?
No, you talking about his name.
He matter of fact we follow each other now as well, but he do these researches on so many great players and athletes and stories and stuff that a lot of people don't know, that brings back into today's generation to see how many great players that have played or played overseas or didn't play at the next level. But
it's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot. Like for the 5 or 6 that made it out,
yes,
there's 50 that played, contributed good basketball to different levels.
And that's why I say that goes back to like our city alone, Chicago.
What's missing now? Because it seems to have...
It's different.
With all due respect, I'm an outsider, and I wear that on my sleeve. Like I make it very clear that when I have someone of your caliber sitting up here, that I can learn more from. Each person I've learned from. I've had Mike up here. I didn't know that Mac Irvin wasn't always called Mac Irvin. I learned some other things from him. Yeah. I had Coach Rob up here. He taught us some stuff. So what?
The dad was, that's another thing. The dad was amazing.
Yeah,
he was one of the guys that orchestrated so much, not just here. Just contributed a lot to basketball.
Yes.
That a lot of the generation that don't
have no idea. They don't know what that name means on the front of their chest.
It means a lot. So for me, if I forget a coach that may rest in peace, the Pure Emmanuel coach that won 4 state titles.
Wow.
Mr. McLean. Sergio McLean's
don't his dad. No. I was going to ask you about that, but that's funny that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's funny that you mentioned. And rest in peace to Coach McLean.
Yes.
We're gonna get to that.
Yes.
We're gonna get to that. If social media was around when you were coming up, how much bigger do you think you and KG and y'all team would have been?
Not just me and KG. You got to think. At that time of social media, what it was, did you understand who was in our class? Kobe.
Yeah.
Bibby.
I'm from Philly, so I know about
Tim
Kobe.
Thomas.
Yes, Tim Thomas went to Villanova, so I know about Tim.
Steven Jackson.
Y'all had a nice
that's what people don't understand. It was
might be the all-time best high school class in history.
Our NIL deals would have been through the roof. Oh my goodness!
Wow.
May rest in peace, Kobe. To me, like I said, we both mirrored our games out there. MJ.
I was about to say, I read that Kobe was obsessed with overpassing or trying to be the number one player while you and him were battling.
And that's the thing. What was so great about that? It was
Steven Jackson talked about that.
Yeah, it's and there's so many Corey Benjamin was in that class.
Oh shit, he was in that class.
Yeah, like I said, it's our group was just different breed. Shaheem Holloway. My man that's at Seton Hall,
and did a nice job with his team before he took the Seton Hall job.
So I said, we had some guys, man, and that's why I tell people like, but our breed our breed, and even with KG, because AI and KG was a year ahead of us, but that breed was like we adopted the old school way of watching the game,
which is what
the physical aspect of. In a game when we felt like going to basket at the time in terms of what, if a guy come across, hit me on the shoulder or something like that, that was not a foul. A elbow check wasn't a foul. That will always break things down. In high school, probably my last 8 games, I averaged, like 32 my senior year, but averaging 30-some points a game, and what people realize, going to free throw line only probably 3 times a game in a physical era. That's what people didn't know. I didn't go to the line a lot, and still, probably my last 5 games, I was averaging close to 40. So the thing about, like, for me, is you don't want to hurt no one. We had to earn it going through some physical
play.
Physical
you had
play.
To get after it.
Yes, yes. So that was the difference.
How much, with that same question, how much would social media have hurt you guys back then? With a lot of the, the Rockstarness, hanging out, doing this, doing that, cameras everywhere.
I think back, I don't want to say, only like this is the crazy part, good or bad. In this era, the bad will sell more than the good, which is crazy. And having, like I say, the social media platform, if like you say, if it was, had it back then, yes, we would have been more magnified. But also, I think with the discipline of the parents, of way they was back then, when they can, hey, you get out of line, you can get your So it would have kind of tapered down a little bit, back then, because like I say, parents used to, and my grandma, mom, they we ain't playing that. We hit you with a broom, anything they can find.
I was a part of that era. I was a part of that era. We ain't too far apart in terms of age. So I didn't have, I wasn't good in basketball. Well, football was my sport, but I came up in the era of like, I pick up anything and get I grew up in that era.
So and like I said, I know, you want to always the thing that I notice more now in life is we want to, it's like you said, a participation trophy because you feel bad for one thing or one race or a situation in life where we pretty much try to cater to everything. Which sometimes catering to everything, we kind of lose our way of going through the battles and learning the difficulties in life to be stronger.
Yes.
Mentally.
There's no way, with this participation trophy era that we're in, there's really no way to fully measure how well your child, as they're becoming young men and young women, how well they can steer through adversity, which is what life is about.
That's about.
Now, I do understand as a parent. I have my son Xavier, he's in his freshman year of college. He just went off to college, and I have a 6-year-old. So I do understand with each generation of parenting where you want to do a little bit different from before. Like, I get that. I understand that thoroughly. However, I do feel like we doing our children a huge disservice when it comes to taking it all. Like, we're trying to block them. Now, I'm guilty. Now, I say that, but I'm guilty of it as well. Like, I know where some of the things where I stepped in front of, or I hurried up and steered him away from certain things that was like very, we good? That we were, I kind of steered him away from just being facing that adversity. I didn't want him to do it, and it was like, ooh, it was a trigger. Like, oh, I remember what I went through. I don't want him to have to go through that. So let me set it up so he didn't have to face that adversity. But I feel like I did him some disservice a little bit.
And I tell you this, but see, this is the thing. He gonna still maybe face things. We all do as we get older.
He just don't know how to face them now because I didn't teach him.
So that moment comes, the fact that you directed him and guided him to college. He gonna have a problem coming to you when one of those moments arrive. You got to sit down and talk with you.
You said he will.
He will, because
I hope not. And he just recently did.
You want him to in this way, because then you can have that conversation and saying to him, you know what? Yeah, I should have did a little bit more of this. You know, back then, and that's where it's like now. What I would love to see from a lot of the youths, and even the parents moving forward, is to now when a lot of these kids, and like I said, I know certain situations can be different from transferring and moving around.
Yeah.
And I hope with some coaches understand, like, give kids legitimate, shots. I know you know, the name of the game is to win, but in life, you still winning when you do give a kid opportunity. And the fact you gave him opportunity, you just didn't assume that he couldn't do certain things. That you just said, all right, you know what? You can't get better at this, and then you put him on the bench. Because now what happens is not giving him a chance to fight for a situation, to go to adversity, to see what he needs to probably get better at. You can already put him in a situation to transfer and leave. Now but
each time they do that, they don't get a chance to.
And that's the thing. It's like it's a hard balance with the coaches as well as the players on fighting through the adversity and taking it on as a challenge. Because now when kids look up down the line, I ain't never seen a success rate lately where a kid had transferred 3-4 schools and it panned out for them moving forward. Because what it shows you, when you're in a situation of adversity, he ain't playing me, this ain't going right, and you leave and you keep leaving, what happens is this: when you go to make a living in life or work and it gets tough, or even trying to build your own, you always gonna find the easy way out to leave and think it's gonna turn out better somewhere else. But then you look up, you 35 years old, you like
no pension,
you
no
don't even know. You just ran for everything, so you don't know if you just put yourself through the storm and gave yourself that legitimate chance to know how strong you can be on the other side. And that's what I'm hoping for, the kids and coaches and us parents as well moving forward, that we can like slowly just try to, day by day, teach these kids to hang in there, fight, give yourself opportunity. Now, and the same thing with coaches too as well. Give them that chance, and if it don't fit or work, then okay, you gave them that chance. But like I said, it's a difficult life and world out here, because you want to win, you want to do a job, and sometimes you have to say things, and this is the thing. A lot of kids don't come from a situation where they have strong support, where if they make a choice, that they can go back and they can help them when it didn't work out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I'm like, you like a single mom, and you like, oh yeah, I trust you with my kid, and you send them there to a school, and all of a sudden it don't work out, and now the person that's suffering the most right now is the kid. The school can always play another guy, get another person. And now the kid is looking at it like, if you don't got a strong support group to go back to that can weave you through and say, listen,
that's a part of life.
That's the thing, that can help guide you and say, look, you're going to be in these difficult situations.
There's going to be a lot more of them too.
And there's a lot more going to happen. How you handle them, not with, with alcohol or with drugs or with partying, all these other things, because you're trying to establish a life of your own in the right way to be able to one day share your story on what you did to persevere through a situation.
Because people's story will always help somebody.
Others.
Always. Everybody always, has, when we were going through the recruiting process, you talked about just giving an opportunity. And I remember having these conversations with coaches, just letting them know, hey, listen, I'm not sitting here telling you, or if Xavier decides to come here, just it's like all I'm asking is to give him a fair shot. He can weather any situation.
Yeah.
Just if it's a genuine fair shot, we in.
Yeah.
But if we get wind, or he feels like, or just coming in, I don't think it's going to be, then we'll respect, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just respectfully not come here. But just give him a fair shot, because that's what I'm teaching him.
Yes.
I'm teaching him that if you get a fair shot and you take advantage of it, then you should get it.
You should get it. And
that's how we're raising him.
And I think the thing is this: at the end of the day, I've seen it so many situations where, like, if you hang in there and you work, trust me, your opportunity gonna come. It ain't gonna come at the time you want it to.
It'll come when you need it.
It's gonna come at the time.
And the opportunity might not even come there.
Yeah.
But it will come.
It might be a situation where you would be able to play in front of one team and do well, even though they couldn't take you, but another team might.
Right.
So,
or the coach that was with you or on you could pass the word on to another coach.
Yeah. And that's how, like I said, I think, like, moving forward, that I hope, us as coaches and parents and leaders in a situation, that we can do a little bit better of leading and understanding that, yes, it's going to be some adversity, and some toughness, you're going to face from coaches to understand the number of love and just trying to teach you to not give up.
Just kind of going back a little bit, when you were playing in high school, like, just that experience overall, before KG got here, like, just kind of talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you. You were a freshman playing up on varsity, and then you went into your sophomore year. KG came your junior year,
My
correct?
junior year, yeah.
So freshman and sophomore year, like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, from what I was told, like, you were already the king of Chicago.
I was, yeah. So I think and this is, I'm happy you touched on that part of, like, being the guy as a freshman and as a sophomore, along with, may rest in peace, Big Curtis Gaines, was there with me. But I think that's when I realized, even back then, when athletes can be more selfish, of, like, you didn't really want to team up and be with nobody.
Right.
Because we was taught, no, you go at a person, or this your club, you want to be, that's the guy.
Right.
But the crazy part about that was, like, that's when you really enjoy winning and loving the game, because the minute Kevin got here and we teamed up, that transition was so easy and smooth.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just like, it's your team right now. So we gonna run this, we gonna do our thing, but you our leader. You are a senior and I'm a junior. So that's why I was like,
it was easy just to kind of
because it's not. I'm not thinking about just me. I already established me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, what we as a team can do.
What can we accomplish?
So that's why I was able to be arguably the best duel to play.
Arguably, I mean, from barbershop to hair salon to anything in between, that conversation in any state across this country, if you're a hoop novice and you know high school basketball, not even novice, but expert, and you know high school basketball, if you and KG name don't come up in that conversation, then
even in other countries,
that's what I'm saying.
That's the thing that threw me through a loop. When these people had these pictures and photos, I'm like, hey, you get that?
Yeah.
So I think that's when we know the impact that we made.
It was substantial.
We was just talking about this 2 days ago.
Like, so when I was coming, when I was coming up, again, I don't think we're too far apart in age, but when I was coming up in Philadelphia, I wasn't a high school basketball person. Like, I played football, but
Okay.
I knew the high school basketball people, Shea Wallace, just the kind of name of, like all them guys, Kobe. I mean, I can name, Lynn Greer. Like, I can name some high school guys from Philly, right? But I wasn't in the mix. But I knew.
Okay.
KG and Ronnie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew who they were. Like, and so, like, the highlights whenever they came on TV, like, I knew who you guys were. So, like, y'all transcended a lot. And then you talked about y'all class. So, like, even after you and KG, the rest of y'all class was crazy.
Yeah, we had, that's what I tell guys, we had some guys that was just
unbelievable.
And this is so crazy about, even from KG class on down, and even my class, if you think about this, a lot of those guys that learned basketball in the old school mentality type way is somewhat way affiliated with still trying to teach that now. Even if you look, even Chauncey was in that class with KG, who's coaching with Portland. AI that have his game. He have our boy out there, Jermaine O'Neal out in Texas. Shout out to his AAU and team, who have some pretty amazing players that he had. I got Tim Thomas out there. I got Bibby, who's working with the Jordan brand and G League and developmental basketball as well. You see our boy Steven Jackson, what he's doing.
Yes.
Him and Matt Barnes.
Yes.
A lot of those guys are still like
in it
to teach, and we, like the players. What I tell people, the difference now with a lot of the players and what we see is the versatility of guys that probably. Back in the days, Kevin Durant would be a center. Damn, a power forward. But to see some of the things that, KD or Luke or even Joel Embiid or Dirk or
the new kid out in San Antonio. Wemby,
yeah. And like I said, it's great. The skill level has evolved in basketball, but in terms of like how, and people always compare, like the eras. The reason for me, I'm old school era because of the physical pounding that we had to take to still be great.
Right.
That's the only difference. Like, not saying take nothing away from these guys than this day.
Right.
They highly skilled, they're special, and it's played different.
Yeah, the game is played different.
So that's my only thing is that.
That's what gives y'all the edge.
Yeah, they give us the edge.
Okay.
Like, so it's like, man, every night is like, especially where we from.
Yeah.
One of us get somebody got like you, that guy in that area, you get hurt, you got about 700 dudes outside. It was a different mindset of like, But it was like, for me, it was the competitive battle and some things that
I'm watching like you in it.
Like I said, some of the stuff that guys are saying during the court, at the time it was like, oh wow, and those wasn't even fouls.
They wasn't even being called.
Man, listen, when you some games, boy, you can get guys getting clothesline out the air. I mean, you like, two got to a point out the first y'all like, you know what, man, when the ref, man, don't even call no foul for me. If I had, and this is one of the things I think that when KG did, KG certified, not KG certified, he did the thing with TNT. So he had Ricky Davis, Sam, I think it's Sam Mitchell, Coach Sam Mitchell that he played with, and then they was talking about me, and they was like, this is what y'all understand about Ronnie. He can go over you, and he was strong as hell to go through you. But the only reason I had the mindset to think that way because sometimes dudes like you go in the lane, guys wouldn't care about if they got the ball. or undercut you, you flip in the air. So you had to have a warrior mentality going there. So when I went in there, I wasn't going in there to throw through dunks. When I was going in there, I was going in there if I had to put my foot in your chest, step on you and attack you, let you know. And because that's how you had to protect yourself.
Yeah. I got to hit you before you hit me.
And that's the way it was back then. And then we was more integrated on actually defending that best guy on. No, I'm guarding.
No, I got him.
Yeah, like you took that. You meant it. So I mean, that's the difference between now and I think, like I said, you know, Kobe was one. You already see what Kobe was.
Yeah.
So you understand our mindset from how we thought. And then you just see the way guys go on the floor. It speaks for itself.
Celebrity status aside, and obviously KG being, you know, I won't say, well, I guess you could say the biggest of them all, but you named quite a few guys. You named Mike Bibby, you named Jack, you named obviously Tim, Shaheem, AI. How good does it feel? So again, celebrity status aside, how good does it feel that you guys, or you specifically, have cultivated relationships with black men who have become by far the most successful men in the world, among the most successful men, that you can literally, when we done this podcast, you can literally, if you wanted on the ride home, call KG like, yo KG, I just did this podcast, like you have those type of relationships. How good does that feel?
Man, I tell you something. You know what? I think the greatest feeling, like for me, is that the respect that we all have for what we've been through and learning the game and playing the game to today. And I tell you the craziest thing, like, it's a story I don't know if AI wanted to tell you, but this was so funny. When the Big Three was here, the first time AI was playing, I was having to watch because he's on there and he got his knee banged and he ain't played no more after that. So I had to go speak, and I took my assistant coach up to Wisconsin. I had to go speak at this big old camp. So we needed to get back close to 7 because I had AAU practice at the time. So I was like, man, you know what? Hey, man, it's traffic. We got a little time. Let's stop at Rivers Casino and get something to eat. So when I walk in, one of the bosses in there was like, hey, your buddy. He was like, who? He wouldn't tell me. And he's like, go over to the roulette table over there. So I'm walking up behind him like, the other dealers looking at, smiling, laughing, because I was like, don't say nothing. So I realized it was him. So my assistant had went to the bathroom. So then I tapped AI on the shoulder. He turned around, he couldn't believe me, because we ain't seen each other in a while. Big old hug, jumped all over me, man. It was just amazing to see each other after so many years, seeing that he was doing great. And then, of course, we started talking about basketball and the generation.
So y'all had your Al Bundy moments?
Yeah, so we had that.
I wanted to ask that. Do you do a lot of that?
We do.
Do y'all?
So just because it's
talking shit, like I remember when I dunked on your ass, like man, look, shit, y'all do that?
This is the thing. The crazy part, my running mate was AI at Nike camp. I was the 1, he was the 2. We was just like, oh yeah. We was out there taking turns on people.
Oh, wow.
To a point our bigs was mad. Hey, shout out to Samaki, Tahadi White. Yeah, they was mad because we wasn't passing nothing.
And AI was an unbelievable athlete coming up. Football,
like,
basketball.
I'm looking at myself, I can jump.
Yeah.
But I think on a law play, the coach put in at camp, and we ran one for me, but we ran one for him. That's when I realized, I'm like, golly.
Yeah.
He can get up.
Yeah, he definitely can get up.
But yeah, like, man, like I said, this, you know, my assistant come back, and then we hugging up. We hugging up again.
Right.
So now AI back to him. So he don't know who hugging me. You ought to see the look on his face when he realized who it was. And then I was like, hey, this is my assistant. And I said, DJ, this AI. He's like,
it's starstruck.
Yeah, he just still like
starstruck. Starstruck.
But it was crazy. It was an awkward moment, and then you got guys. So now people coming over there, we take pictures like, no, not in here. You know, we just sitting there trying to enjoy ourselves.
Right.
It was crazy. Like I said, you know, seeing us guys, and that's a love we have, and you see, we always speak highly
all the time
of each other, man. And that's why I say I'm so proud of all these guys, Matt, Steve, what they doing.
Yeah, Jack he brings up that era a lot on there. I watch their podcast, and I love their podcast, but like I just love them too, just in general, just because they're kind of like rebels, and like I can I pull into that. You know what I'm saying?
You see some stuff.
I pull into that.
I say, it's a different breed.
Nah, Jack seems like a real solid guy.
And he's one of my teammates as well.
Jack goes to Philly a lot. He knows a lot of people that I know.
Yeah.
He's in Philly a lot.
Yeah, it was a teammate for like, this is the thing, man. It's crazy. Like if something go down, we roll them. I mean, that's like, but we had all those guys, like, like I said, to see everybody out of all people, even watching our boy Shaheem. Coaching.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Man, listen.
He's doing a great job. He did a great job.
How proud I was to be like, look, that was one of my teammates. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, I'm like, yeah. See, guys, and you can, like I say, yeah, it's some guys that went different directions in life, but for the most part, for a lot of the guys to see with the platform that, we was blessed with and able to get back to do it in so many parts of the country. It's one of the most amazing feelings to know that you then play with those guys.
You got a nice brotherhood.
Yeah,
that's a nice. Yeah, you got a nice. You have a very substantially great brotherhood that you can tap into anytime, and that has to feel good.
Man, yeah, like I said, because when you want to do stuff and put things on, for the youth and where you're from, and like you can just tap in, and the good thing is for me able to share stories, at Nike Camp with AI and KG, and the time when Jordan made his second comeback when we played, was playing down at hoops, and it's like you get the chance to share these different stories, man.
That gotta forget. And speaking of KG, shout out to KG. How fun was it playing with him?
Let me tell you something. Look, at first he was a little bit more laid back. He still talked a little bit, but when he got here,
I heard y'all got your claws into him a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
I heard y'all got your claws into him. We won't go down that street, but I heard we're not gonna go down that street. Shout out to KG.
You heard his podcast.
Yeah,
like, man, where Ronnie taking me to?
Yeah.
But
I heard y'all got your claws into him a little bit.
We made sure, like I said, we had a lot.
I heard y'all took care of him though.
Yeah, we took care of him. Like like a lot of people don't understand is like our guys that kind of ran basketball and had us out there playing the teams, looking out for us and making sure that we go that way. Shout out to my guy Brian Lee, Rock, June Tate, all those guys, Baby, all those guys fly, regardless of what people may think in terms of outside of it. But a lot of the things is those guys always put tournaments, fun, entertainment things and kept things going for us, what people don't really understand, appreciate it now. And when you look back, when those guys do all the outside tournaments in a lot of different places that people always attended, even when you was younger and kids, you looked to be at the playground playing. That's what we hope to try to get back in this generation like that. And that's how we was able to get better, because we was out there all the time. We were like, and this is so crazy. Was it that hot back then? Because like now you outside, it like it wasn't. Because I'm like, man, how did I play ball out here at 100 degrees?
So the weather wasn't as hot as it is.
It couldn't have been,
because y'all was out. So
man, we was out there playing a whole tournament. 10 games.
They don't outside tournaments for real.
They don't.
No.
But that goes back to what we talked about originally with the trophy mentality and the toughness of these kids. Like, and also too, like, I guess just the DNA is just a little bit different, because kids be passing out now, and it's like you can't.
Well, you want to be much safer when like you can't go in this type of weather. But the thing about it for these kids too, though, what we didn't have, I can name close to 10 facilities that's been built with 8 to 10 courts in it. We didn't have none of that.
None.
We going to play us a stage in there and one court.
And it was no bigger than this room.
Exactly.
And y'all got down.
When we got down.
Y'all
so
got
it's
down.
like, there's no excuse because like now, you build so many facilities with kids can just go to and play. So, that ain't no excuse for them no more. They got more, like I say, much more facilities. And AAU is, like when I played.
$1 billion industry.
Yes. And this thing, when I played, and this was so crazy that people didn't realize, AAU time I played with, I was the only black athlete on it. I played with a team of 6'5", 6'6", Serbian or Lithuanian players.
Damn.
Played 3 games in the tournament with them. That was the only AAU I did.
Damn.
And still was ranked one of the top players without going on the road a lot. I think the AAU is like this. Players want to get seen, which is good, but you also, if I'm a coach, I don't, seeing you at AAU and then I go back to watch you at your high school, and you not even that player, then I don't know what I'm getting when I recruit you. I can't say I see you over here in this circuit, you got 20 points a game, and then I go back and watch you in high school, and you probably don't even start or you ain't even contributing like that. See, that's the thing with kids to understand. If they're going to recruit, they looking at what you do at your high school along with your AAU games.
The same could be flipped on that as well. So you could have a guy from his high school team that's not starting and not really, I'm sorry, that is starting or whatever, and then he gets to AAU and he ain't doing too well.
But see, and that's the thing that's very rare, where it's like you gonna get, most time when you're a Division I coach recruiting, you recruiting. AAU is just the extra, but you really recruit him in high school and what he doing in that season. Because like, think about it. In high school, you in more of a college environment in terms of consistent practices, with a team that's not full of all-stars.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? That's combined. So now I know what you're doing with this group, and you're not surrounded by 8, 9 other guys.
I got you.
Yeah. Right, so I can't, you see what I'm saying? So
I got you.
If you go and you with a great team and you putting up 25, and then I go to the high school and it's like, wait a minute.
Right. Because them great teams could be making you look better than what you are.
Yeah, that's why a lot of coaches get fired and giving away scholarships. They should.
They should be. High school Ronnie, high school KG. What was those practices like?
Me and Kevin was never on the same team. It wouldn't have been fair.
Right, I know that. So like,
it was more.
So did y'all battle? Did y'all go at it?
Yes.
What was they like? Like, what was those battles like?
Okay, the thing with Kevin is he made me develop a mid-range pull-up fadeaway at the time in terms of like, because you had to be smart. See, it's a lot of people that block shots, but Kevin know how to block shots in terms of the time of when to go get it at his highest peak. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And even off a pump fake, he's still quick enough to get back to his second block where you like still ain't getting a good look. Mm-hmm. So it was like getting them in transition, moving around, catching them, moving away from the bucket to try to get them. But going under there, we ain't have a chance. And then went down there, trying to weak side. I never tried to guard him like one-on-one. Where he turn around, he jump hook, and he's shooting over, and I can jump. But when he's already there, and say you got to think, even at 6'11", he's still jumping on like 30-inch vertical.
Jesus.
So what are you gonna do? Even if I do jump 51 at 6'3", it's still it didn't matter. Yeah, so but no, our practices that's what helped us in the game because we was going at it.
It was rumored that in order to see y'all play once he got here, you had to come to your freshman games to be in the gym to hold early.
Yeah.
And so you playing freshman game one? Did they have freshman AB games or just a freshman game?
We just had sophomore game and then varsity.
Oh, okay.
And see, the more you talk about this, and I think about NIL now,
y'all would be crazy. It would be crazy.
Man, listen,
it would be crazy.
Look,
it would be crazy. First of all,
like, these people like get.
Y'all should have been getting some of that gate money.
No, that's enough. Yeah. Trust me.
Y'all should have been getting some of that gate money.
And that's from everywhere. Like I remember, like when we first played in the Final Four at UIC, which now is Credit Union Arena, man, we sold that place out. Was like people, they out there scalping tickets for $700, $1,000.
Word.
Yeah, that was crazy. We sold that place out to the top. Where normally you be sold out and sold out, but the whole like with people, the head, like you are like people was like golly. And then the following year, even though I had my accident, I made that appearance because Farragut still, made at least to the Final Four.
Yeah.
What was so crazy when they snuck me in, and some people knew, but in those booths is like a tent, right? So you can see, but you can't really see.
Right.
So it's crowded. So the minute I don't know, I got emotional in a moment when we was making a run, and I happened to be against the glass like, come on, and then they turned around and seen it was me. Oh, it was over.
It was over.
So now half of the place is turned around, running up, trying to look, and he's in there. I was still in there, still watching the game, and then when it was time for me to leave, I couldn't get out of there.
Damn.
And I had the halo on at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the halo on at the time, but I had to go see them play.
I saw the highlight when you talked about the coach who passed away, where his son played Sergio, when you jumped over him in a high school basketball game. Do you remember that? Like vividly remember that without seeing the
Listen, man, I remember like I had to go down there. My guy David Booth, who he worked his way up. He works in NBA front office now.
Okay.
And I had to go down there to Peoria to speak at one of his camps. And Sergio brought his son, to the camp when I was speaking. And this kid, they like, that's the dude that jumped over your daddy's head. The kid wouldn't even speak to me, shake my hand. I'm cool with Serge now. And Serge, I love Sergio, but that moment, I can tell you vividly what happened. I'm in foul trouble.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the other side, and he's on the opposite block.
Right.
So the ball is kicked to me. So I'm going at a good speed of like, okay, he done finna foul out this game with an offensive foul, or Lord, I'm gonna have to jump over him.
That's the thought.
That's the only option I had, because when I got it and he came perfect rotation.
Perfect. Normally
a person could be a late or like body turn.
I saw the video.
No, he came perfectly, and that's when I was like, look, I'm a Clem, I hope. And that's when I just went straight over. Boom, I never get that. And it was off, he did the perfect rotation, and he didn't do anything wrong.
Nothing.
And that's what people was like. I was like, look, that's the only option I had.
No, he didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like you said, the rotation was perfect. Now, the video that I saw, and I'm assuming it's the video that most people have seen, do you know the person who recorded that?
No.
No?
I don't.
I wonder if that person is out there ever like. I saw the video on YouTube, and so I wonder if.
I had to ask Coach Nelson.
His you can hear his voice in the thing. It would be no different than if somebody did that today. Like he was like, "Oh my God," he was like,
that
"Real."
Sound like Goog, Stanley Jones.
I'm gonna try to find a video when we're done.
Trust me, he probably didn't find and call you.
To your accident, you kind of alluded to your accident a little bit. Is it okay to ask you about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel how difficult was the days following your accident, and what was tougher, the physical recovery or the mental recovery?
I looked at that. The good part I won't say ain't no good part about no accident, but the fortunate aspect for me of happening when that happened, when you're young and things happen, you also always think you think you can like bounce back, you're invincible because you're young. You're like, oh, this just is okay, ain't nothing falling off me.
Right.
Cool, you're gonna be back out at the playground playing.
Right.
So that kind of helped me at that moment of thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be okay.
Okay.
Right. So if that would have happened when I was maybe 25, it probably would have been more devastating. I would never been able to mentally recover from it. But being so young at the time,
it was like
oh, okay, oh man, this it. Oh, okay, I'm not paralyzed, and my legs, I'm gonna still be able to walk. And, I'll be able to play. So that's because I'm asking. This is crazy. I'm gonna get down there when they telling me this before they realize that I had these fractures in my neck. I'm like, you think I'll be ready for the playoff? He looking at me like, what? Playoffs? What do y'all play? Like 3-4 days. Going into that playoff, I was averaging like close to 40 on my way to breaking that record for scoring it in Illinois. And then I was gonna hopefully win the city championship, and then I was gonna probably just come out. I was gonna go ahead and declare because I wanted to end it on a high note. But the thing I learned throughout that, where as a human, when things go, wrong in life, it's like we tend to not really pay attention to the devastating aspect of how it happened or why it's happened. Instead of just like move on and just like a person go out there, boom, this happened in life. Sometimes it change, depending on how you, fully recover, if you fully recover from it. But for me, when I was looking at the things that was going on in my life, everything that was given to me, and then enjoying it, it comes to a point where you get humble. Now, this is what adversity hit, because when this stuff happened, you can be in a place of like, okay, as time go on, to like say, all right, forget it. But for me, I started thinking every year, the reason and any opportunity still be able, because it could have went a lot of ways. It could have been paralyzed. It was very close to that. Or I could have died. So when I looked at those two options, I was more relieved.
I was going to ask you.
Moving forward in life, or whatever happens moving forward, I'm physically able to still do stuff and make my way in life without hindering anyone else. So once I start to understand life throws you different things, it was easier to say just be thankful for each and every day, regardless if I play ball or not, or whatever come forward. But I was still able to continue with a career, and thankful for that. So I never looked and cared to look back to say what if.
Right.
So now you said what? Say yes. You see what I'm saying? Because I can be like, if I didn't have those accidents and then I didn't continue to play, I can be like, man, what if?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The two worst outcomes.
Yeah, the two worst outcomes is like, hey, listen.
You beat those odds.
Yeah, I'm straight. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
They like, and they showing like, ooh, you close to being paralyzed. Oh, you could have been dead. So talking about what if, and listen, this could have happened. So that's why, moving forward, you able to just draw strength, and then able to share your thoughts and the experiences on mentally how you handle it. So like, do you feel bitter if you didn't play in the NBA? No, I don't. This is why, because I look at it to the standpoint of those two options of being dead or paralyzed compared to still being able to have a very successful career, coach, build a program, and have multiple opportunities still to this day to give back and still build and have a great life. And that's why it's like, I don't, look at it from like the what ifs, because I could have been not here.
Right. There would have been no
Most guys that said that haven't had those two options thrown in front of them, yes, I know it can be hard. Like, man, if he would have done this, boy, that's without having an accident or going to a life. Yes,
it's life altering.
It's harder for them to accept that than it was for me. And then my peers, from the Jordans, the AIs, the KGs, to this day, what I love about Steven Jackson's, Bibby, these guys, the respect and love that they show me to this day if I was in the league. So it's not a point of like, oh, maybe should he? No. It's the respect of these guys viewed you that way. You know, and the
That you,
love and
like you're
support.
still on that,
Yeah,
that level.
on that level
Yeah,
with
yeah,
these
yeah.
guys to, you know, to see
That's
and
that
watch what
brotherhood.
Kobe was able to accomplish. We just high school kids, or you know, even with Bibby, when like going to the Western Conference Finals, that's not there. They're losing against Shaq and Kobe. Hey, but you led a team there. To watch what my boy Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, Artest did in Indiana, so it's like you see what I'm saying? Is you know you have a whole different outlook on life.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why, like, for me, each and every day I wake up, I'm thankful, grateful for something that I can change moving forward. So,
from base, so after, you know, after the accident, you know, you had some other situations going on. Why do you think you never really got that opportunity to be in the league? Like, what do you think was a result of that?
well, a lot of things. Like I tell people, you know, like it's like investment in life. When you dealing, like, you ain't investing $10,000, you investing millions of a lot of different things that happened when you was younger to also physically. This is another thing. When I went to pre-draft and you had to see doctors, that was fresh off my accident, and I was in more pain in my neck to even try to show. But when I got to maybe like the fourth or fifth doctor where it was like pulling on it, physically I wasn't back. And over the course of time, I still was a great player, but I wasn't that player I was
Leading
post
injury, pre-injury rather.
Yeah, pre-injury.
How different? Like you brought up some of the OGs that kind of helped you and KG throughout y'all high school career, just to kind of keep y'all focused on the path, you know, keep certain things away from you. How difficult was it to stay away from people you knew in your heart wasn't good for you during your career? I mean, because you were a pinnacle of this city from all of your high school career and just kind of throughout. And I'm sure you've seen, heard, and know about different things when you were younger that could have affected your career, accident aside, that could have steered you one way or the other. Like, how difficult was that?
You know, this is like one of the main leaders in my life when I was young, when I was going through some stuff. You know, that was very pivotal, like a close big brother to me and protecting me as well. When I came back, I think my first year from overseas, and I was like in the process of like, you know, just figuring out, you know, hey man, you know, street was his life, you know, that's what it was. But he also always was one of the guys that always protected me and made sure nothing happened, anything go down. And you know, he ended up getting killed, and that took a toll on me a lot moving forward. You know, that I had to really focus even more on, because
You didn't have that.
yeah, I didn't have that guidance and one of my biggest fans and stuff, and that changed, you know, a lot. And I think, like I said, those guys back then running the tournaments and also protecting the guys that have a future for themselves. Those guys looked out for us, you know. Like I said, you know, even, you know, Kenny Shannon is another guy. You know, like I said, for me in my life, all those guys I mentioned, regardless of what, you know, their styles of life was, they also made sure a lot of us ball players was safe, looked out for places to play, great tournaments.
Had something to eat, had clothes on your back.
Clothes, shoes.
Yeah, all that.
Also, Pro-Am was one of the best Pro-Ams.
Bussin'.
So those guys, like I said, and, you know, regardless of what people say, those guys was great for us. You know, growing up, and I stand on that all day long.
As you should. I mean, and people like that that you speak about. They're in all cities.
Yes.
The New Yorks, the Phillies, the Dallases, the Texas. They're in all them urban, the Californias. You like the people on the outside of our culture, and when I say culture, I mean black culture, that don't understand that those people are important.
Yeah.
Like, they doing what they doing. They got going on.
Like I said,
but when it comes to they protect us.
Yes, and that's one of the things that what people don't like. What we kind of youth miss today in some way, shape or form. They kind of miss that.
They do, because those people that you're speaking about, they're now the culture vultures.
Yeah.
They're now the snakes in the grass.
Yeah.
And so it's when you talk about a different era from high school basketball, just NBA and all that stuff, you got to include that too. You can't just say
that's where it comes from. Like, because they putting you in this thing. People understand like this. Them the guys that's putting you in a situation and playing against the best, finding the best, having guys match up against the best. I'll tell you this story one time, like, a player that was one of the most amazing players to ever play here is in Chicago, Jamie Brandon, right?
He's on my list to try to get. A lot of people tell me to try. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jamie.
They said he was the best player.
Yeah. Jamie, and see, this would always try to break down with people. When everybody, and it's the thing, I love the debates, but when it comes down to Chicago basketball, I don't mind a debate, but I don't like a debate where the bashing of the guys that's debating, where it gets so heated. It's okay to have your opinion on who you thought was better or whatever, but when people ask me, "Are you the greatest player on the playing Chicago?" I'm like, "No, guys." I say, if you want to say entertaining and taking it to a different level, yes. But great, man, look, Tim Hardaway, Isaiah, I mean, I can, Mark McGuire, you even got the younger guys that's under me, like the Derrick Rose, the Jabari Parker, the Jalils, the Antoine Walkers. I mean, you got Jamie, Marcus Liberty, Kendall Gill, who else? Man, so many they ain't gonna name.
And so many. Chicago has.
It's just one of those things where it's just like you would go down the list of guys that had their moments in high school that's always memorable to everyone that got a chance to see us play throughout the years, that had a moment of saying, okay, that was one of the greatest moments they have seen in a high school player in that era. And
it goes down the line. Yeah.
And that's why Kewan Garris. Like, I can go down a list of guys that done remarkable things, and I seen, even when I was playing, I was like, and that's the thing, I don't care, but like I said, I feel I'm a great player, but if I see some guy, I'm like, man, dang, you see that? I even do this to today with these young kids. And that's because you love to watch and see someone that's talented and do things special. That what makes you be like, not be a guy you come in the gym and be like, oh, please, he ain't doing that. No, that's remarkable. So, for me, like I said, we just, I give all our guys praise and love, even guys that have played way before me,
Man, I could sit and talk to you for hours, man. I want to start winding down a little bit. Start asking you. So, back in high school, who guarded you the toughest?
Wow. Who guarded me the toughest? It wasn't no one person, but who had some of the better game plans at games? Western House had some great game plan. In that conference alone, like I said, I scored, but my lowest average probably was against Westinghouse at maybe 25 points.
And that's low.
That's low average. That's crazy.
That's
wild.
That's wild.
Compared to other people's getting 47s, 38.
Right. Yeah. In 8-minute games.
I think. 8-minute quarters.
8-minute quarters, right?
I'm gonna tell you, this is the story.
Now that's fucking wild.
Look, this is gonna blow your mind. I'll never forget. See, this is one you should have put down. The heat and venom I got when KG graduated, and I was next year.
Okay.
So you got to think we pounced on a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So
Well, he was
I
here.
already know, like, oh, wait till
he leave.
I'm hearing it. I'm getting it from everywhere.
Yeah.
Not realizing, like I said, we grew in the era
you still
of
averaged
Michael
32.
Jordan.
Yeah.
So you ought to know how my mind, like, oh yeah,
Hey, bring that shit.
Okay, yeah, like, so I'm up here like, we had to play Manly, and it was still selling out, so we couldn't even play at their school. We had to go play at Malcolm X.
Okay.
So I never forget this game. This one blow y'all mind. They up 13. I got 3 fouls. We only get 5. So I got 3 points going to halftime. Remember that I got the article, my daughter have it. So shout out to my daughter, Lisa Field. That's my baby, my heart. So Coach, we get in there. So now this is my senior year. You can tell they was like happy KG is gone. They partying over everything. So walking there in the locker room, I ain't say nothing. Coach looked at me, the player looked at me, I ain't say anything. And Wolf was like, look, you got 3 of them, not gonna start you this second half. I ain't say anything. So now we down like about 13. You gotta remember it's 8-minute quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And soon as the first minute go off the clock and they come out, still hit another 3. So now we down 16. And he's like, forget it, man, just go on in. I go in, and all of a sudden, the one play that the game changed, we get a rebound. Jamel Roman's on the wing. They got a 6'7" big. So you know in those gyms you have those like pads on the back wall?
Yeah.
I'm trailing, running right behind. And I see the big. Jamel got the ball. He see me running. This time he didn't lob it. So he bounced past it. Now I'm already angry. I caught that thing one step from the free throw line. Big jump. I dunked on him so hard, you hear like the bolts in the rim, you hear shake. He knocked him into the back pad. The place erupted. And one. Scored, now we back down 13. Come back down. Remember I tell you about paying those passing lanes?
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
I steal the next 3 balls.
Keep the weakness in the game.
So now I scored on that. So like now what? Now we down, I think like 7. They call a timeout. I'm walking past a bench. And I'm not saying I'm just walking our bench. And I just looked at their coach and the rest of the guys.
It was over.
All of them just looked at me. I ain't make no gesture. They just looked at me like I wasn't even human. Game goes on. Now it's to a point, getting that thing, now I'm smacking them from 3. So remember I said I had 3 points. We end up coming back with this game by 7. I have 49.
Come on, man.
Bro, you scored 46 points in the second half?
In the second half. 8-minute quarters.
With 3 fouls.
With 3 fouls.
Did you get another foul?
No. Listen, the referees was like, I went like on a 20-0 run.
By yourself?
By myself. And the looks on those people over there was priceless. I still got that article.
46 points in the second half.
46 in the second
8-minute
half.
quarters.
8-minute quarters.
Who was your toughest player? Who was your toughest player to guard in high school?
Man, toughest. We had quite a few guys. I'm a great defender, but like when you switch off and you go on some of the best players, like this kid Jimmy Sanders, was like a shorter guard, and he was like deceptive, and he just knew how to maneuver his body and do things. And he had a floater before Tony Parker had it. And he was using that. He was good at freezing guys. It was hell trying to guard him. And of course, let me see who else. Other than that, a lot of guys I kind of like. Mike Herman was another guy. Was, he was he had one of the best crossover pull-ups that I've seen. So his crossover was like, you had no choice but to roll your ankle. So you like he was something special. But a lot of guys, like I say, I kind of locked down.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of locked down.
Okay. So my next question, really, I don't really think I should ask because pass.
No, ask. I got a his question. You already doing 49 on people.
Yeah. So, all right. So I want you to name. Now you had multiple 40-point games. You had a 46-point second half game. I want you to name one player and one team who was barbecue chicken, who you gave absolute buckets to.
Manly.
That game you talked about?
I'm gonna tell you what. So that was the same year of my accident. So look, so crazy. So I had 49 when we had to play them. It was their home game, but at Malcolm X.
Okay.
The last game of my high school career was against them. I think 2 nights later I had my accident. But that game at home at our place.
Please say you had 50.
I had 46.
So if you're doing
but then
the
Lincoln
math,
Park, okay, it was a tie because the week before that Lincoln Park, I had 51.
Jeez.
And then the first game against Loyola in the Proviso West tournament, 51. Yeah.
Come on, man.
So you had 95 points against Manly.
Yeah.
Alone.
Yeah.
Just that.
That senior year, yeah.
95
And then
points.
I think Westinghouse was the lowest, probably about like 55, and everybody else was between 90, 80 in terms, because you had to play
Twice.
Twice,
Yeah.
right? So even like with Marshall, it was like average was like 35 against those.
Right.
You know,
So,
but I think
Manly
got
was
the worst.
the Manly was your highest average.
Yeah, I averaged 35 against Marshall. William was around like 70 between those two.
Yo, that's wild.
Yeah, that was my senior year numbers.
Now, one day you got 2,619 points. God damn. Now wonder. That's wild. So we're coming down to our last few. I added this last question specifically for you, and we asked you about your Mount Rushmore coaches. I want you, and I usually, which will be the very next question, but I want you to name your top 5 high school starters and 1 6-man.
Through any era?
Through any era. This is your list.
Oh my goodness.
This is your list.
I got to name it. Listen, man. And that's another thing that people realize. Quentin Richardson.
Yes.
Q.
Yes. Was a
Man,
dog.
listen.
Yeah, Q was a dog. He was a dog.
Man, let me see.
Positionless basketball too.
Do I put KG? Because
This is your list.
KG.
All right, KG. Go ahead. That's 1.
Isaiah.
Okay.
I love Tim.
Okay.
All the way.
Okay.
I'm taking myself out of it.
Oh, you out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody who scored 95 points against one team, but okay.
Twan.
Okay.
For sure.
That's 4.
Benji.
Oh, not a lot of people talk about him enough.
So yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough answer. Who's your 6-man?
Oh man.
That's a tough team.
I'm gonna put as my 6-man. Who was also dominant back then. I would say, man, that's hard. I'm about to put. I'm about to put Q on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a tough list. That's a tough list. Now name your all-time NBA team starters and six man.
Man, now you're killing me. Of course, Mike.
Okay, you got to say Mike. Can't be from Chicago and can't say Mike.
Kobe, he's a
Kobe.
class guy too, definitely.
Yep.
I love Shaq.
Shaq, of course.
Olajuwon.
Ooh wee.
And I got to go and play with Magic in this All-Star game out there in Phoenix for the Globetrotters. I go with Magic.
Okay, and who your six man coming off the bench?
I'm taking Steph, man.
Okay. Gotta have a shooter. Mine's
This is the crazy part about it is like KD is a very rare skill talent. LeBron, of course, is special in itself, but like at Magic, you know, so it's like because of like I like with Magic, I had a moment with Magic, you know, like the reason I, you know, of course put Magic on there. Kobe is our class. I always show love to our class. Is great mama. And then, of course, MJ. And then, like, Shaq is just one of those guys that was different, man. I looked at some of his highlights, like, 3 days ago to realize if he played now, how athletic he was, regardless if you foul him or not, he would hurt. Like, these guys would be hurt.
Yes.
Because I'm like, guys, y'all know ain't no centers there that can guard him.
At all.
And Shaq could move. And Olajuwon, you already heard what Mike said. He can play all five positions, and he was one of the best defensive players ever. You know, and Steph is, come on, man.
Steph is Steph. Greatest shooter of all time.
I never got in awe of a guy that put fear like we would when you get dunked on. You put fear in the guy don't want to get that. You very sudden you've seen anybody put fear in you from shooting threes.
Getting shot over, yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, that is different.
Yeah, you over there like, man, like, coach, you want me to guard him way right there. Right. So basically, you telling me to guard a dude when in this era of the guys, the skill set, the 3-point shooting, and the speed to open the game more. If I go out there and guard him, you have me chase him. Anybody else on their team that's quick like KD, he gonna have 40 on whoever else guard because you can't help. Well, you ain't gonna help. You gonna shoot. I ain't leaving Steph. And then you ain't been leave Clay, who was in the top 5 greatest shooters ever.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So you know, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good list. Mine's is AI, Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, Hakeem, and my six man is Jamal Crawford.
Damn.
That's my list.
Listen. Yeah, you might take Steph off. I love Steph, but AI.
AI, he was a monster. Yeah. All right, so my last two questions. One is a question. One is more so a message. You mentioned your daughter. You have one child?
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. That's actually perfect. All right, so I'm Muslim, and in this land, we believe that our children pick us as parents. That's what we are taught. I'm hearing that. What does it mean knowing that your daughter picked you to be her father? Just kind of talk about that and what family means to you.
I think for me, like, you know, being young, because I had my daughter when I was very young. Mm-hmm. You know, and when you're young in terms of like, for me, the father figures was the guys that was around, like my coaches and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So you really not learning until you on the fly. You learning how to
be a father.
Be a father because you really didn't have it. You know, it was really my mom and then coaches that mentored and showed me the way. You know, Coach Nelson, Coach Wolf, Coach Malnati, you know, Kaplan, who's been amazing supporter even to this day. You know, I met a lot of great people, man, throughout my journey that and showed me different ways in life of
that you could pull from.
Yeah, that you could pull from. And, you know,
and for the record, those of us that did have our fathers, we still learning on the fly too.
Yes, we still.
So like, there's no guide to that. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm proud of my daughter. Like, she was amazing. She graduated from UIC, degree, got a real great job right off the back. Soon as she graduated, even though I wanted to see her walk across the stage, but at the time it was right at the pandemic. So now she's great job, doing amazing, and now she's going back to school for her master's to continue to strive and to be better. So I could be more of a proud dad than that.
That's like our children are a reflection of us, and how we talked about like just wanting them to be better than what we learned, gotten.
That's the challenge of this era.
Yeah.
Because man, there's so many different ways to pull so many different things from, and then like I said, it's a challenge. If you could keep listen, they're gonna look at social media, they're gonna look at all these different things, but you just hoping through whatever instant that mistake has happened, that they just learn from it and just move forward from it. Because like I said, you don't want to shield the kids from life, because then they don't learn as much.
Right.
Only thing you just do is like try to tell them what to look out for, to prepare, and let them learn as they go.
My last thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to send a future message to yourself, just kind of talking in third person. So when you send yourself a message, it's Ronnie, and then give yourself a message. So then when you look back on this from years, hopefully you'll see this message to yourself. So
yeah, my message to Ronnie, for me, I like to see myself in the future, look back on that through all the adversity and a lot of things that I faced, that I was able to use the platform and the opportunities to give back and show kids, moving forward in life, that I was able to help them change and fight through adversity themselves, and to overcome all the critics and the doubters of what that say that you can't amount to anything, or you're gonna, this is gonna happen. That I was able to make that change and inspire a lot of the guys, and hopefully it's starting with, being able to reach back in there in the city, along with a lot of the kids. Like I said, I coached through AAU and stuff like that.
I think just from what I know of you and what I've learned from you, I think that I think it's important to note that your story is an important one to be told, and I hope other people get an opportunity to kind of learn more. As you continue to just kind of as you age, like you are a huge a part of this culture of this city. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I mean, again, we could sit here and talk to you for hours, and it's kind of humbling just to kind of be in your presence a little bit, just like growing up and just kind of reading things and hearing things and then seeing things, and then now like just to kind of sit here and talk to you and be able to kind of pull some of that stuff. It's very humbling. It's very humbling, and I appreciate you taking the time to come out of your way a little bit to come and have a conversation with us.
For me, the first thing I thought about, like when you reached out, and then it's like looking at some of the guys you had that's very influential coaches as well in Chicago. What I was thinking like the whole time was like platforms and people that reach out for positive messages, just feedback for just to get back to the youth, and then you all doing what you all doing. I applaud those things when people build and start their own, and then it's a positive change that they trying to help make in this society. So I was like, this would be good. Like, because normally, like for me, I'm like I'm like, man, I know I got to go here, coach. I got to get these guys
right.
So then it was like, hey guys, all right, we got this. And then I'm looking at the time, I'm like, which was the fastest way? Because you got to think, I'm in Naperville, so I come back to a 294, cut over, which probably would have been not good. Thank God I was downtown.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it was like, okay, this is, so it gave me like 45 minutes. I was like, this is perfect. So I was able to, just leave and just think about those things. And like I said, thank you guys for having me, being able to come.
Nah,
in.
we really appreciate this
Yes.
platform. Like I started exposure runs in 2020 just to try to give my son. It was like one of them things where it's like I can bitch and complain about what he's not doing, or I can do something about it. You know what I mean? People are they're saying this kid is the best. This kid is this, and it's cool. Like those kids are great. But I think my son is great too, and so I can point fingers and I can talk shit and I can be like, well, why whoop-de whoop-de? It's like, nah, fuck all that. I could just start something, and it just kind of spawned into this. And then when we first started doing the podcast, it was like we've gotten messages and we've gotten responses and feedback that like people are really, really feeling it. Like we're trying to show what this city has produced and is producing. And so that's been really important to us, and we love it. Like when you came in, I was talking to a coach, and he was like, "Man, I really love your podcast." It was like I didn't even know him.
I got an idea. So like, I like what you guys have done, and this is what I'm going to start doing. So I don't think too many people has done this. With y'all equipment, y'all can take in which you are.
Anybody want.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking, and you all probably be one of the first to probably do it.
And if you're probably going to say something that we're already thinking, but go ahead.
So I teamed up with Big Time Hoops out of Texas, and they wanted to do a Ronnie Fields Elite tournament at Hope Academy. A lot of NBA guys come there to train. It's like an NBA facility. You ever been there?
Yeah, I've been to Hope.
Okay, so like we play there our home game. So I have a tournament going to be there 13th and 14th.
Of September?
No, of April, right?
Okay.
So
put us down.
What I was going to have you all do, which I don't think no one had done it, live podcast doing shootouts.
We in.
We're there. That's what we already.
No one, and I was like,
we're in.
We're there.
Because now this is what I would like to do with you guys. Is even with some of the younger players, because when you start having the players like, say for instance, like me, I'm like, hey, I want to have such and such a guy, hey, go on this kid Taiwan, sophomore.
Oh, we've had them. We've had players up here.
Have them like live doing games.
And get a chance to talk to them right off.
Get a chance to talk to them.
Yeah, we're in.
Because people don't, and this is the thing, what kids follow, that's a whole new thing. Because like now, you all getting followers just because, and that's crazy how it works like that. When you're doing something that just like, because I told you, this is the thing, when I grew up, when I was growing up, I never looked at a high school player like, ooh wee. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at Michael Jordan. I see these kids now. Man, I'm like, who? Because he just did a dunk and don't even play. They all.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay.
Millions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Rick, and I had to see. But, back in the days we used to have, they have it downstate. But please, all the basketball and the people is up here.
Yes.
City, suburban.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, maybe sit down with some of the coaches in the suburban area and the city, and I like to bring this back to City Suburban All-Star Game.
That would be so lit, yo.
That's when I played in.
Yeah.
That's what I played
That
in.
would be so crazy.
That's my daughter right
Oh, you got to take that. You got to
Hello,
take that.
what's up, Mama? Well, Daddy just on a live podcast right now. I was just talking about you. You just leaving school?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be leaving in a few, so text me when you make it home. All right, love you. Yeah. And she just leave from USC.
Hey, you got to
Yeah,
take
but
that.
I think that would be amazing.
And we agree.
We agree.
Yeah.
And we agree, and
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
We agree. We are always looking to expand the brand, and we have an idea of what we're going to be doing for the upcoming season that's going to blow people's minds.
And so it's a Thanksgiving tournament at St. Ignatius, right?
Yes.
We got Kendall Gildem's son. That's our first game against them.
I'm trying to get them on the damn podcast.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get, and shout out to Kendall and shout out to Phoenix. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get, well, he politely already told me he wasn't going to let him come. But, I'll do a showcase. I'm having a showcase October 28th at the 167 Green Street Rooftop Gym where some of the top players are going to be there. I'd love for you to come if you're available. It's a Saturday. We could talk more about it offline.
The guy that runs it, so,
Shapak, I think is the guy that runs it.
He's good friends with my guy, Peter Case.
See how that works out? See?
Yeah.
See how that
he
works
just
out?
asked me that I wanted to do something. I want to, like I told guys now, is when people always, the way I want to run tournaments, you see you go to AU team, AU tournament, teams, kids play games, and then they whatever. It's like no interest, in terms of like looking forward to making an all-star game.
Bro, that's what we. All right, we got to talk about.
You see what I'm saying?
A lot of ideas we got.
Like none of that no more. So it was just like, guys, okay, we put these events together, and with these events, where kids look forward to being there.
Yes, exactly.
But we could talk all day about this because it's people that be trying to keep it. Anyway, we are way over our time. Let me get my shout outs real quick.
Incentive.
Yeah, incentivize them. Yeah. We can talk about it. Don't give. You don't want to put it up because we don't want nobody to steal it. We don't want nobody to steal it.
We own it.
I'm with y'all.
So of course, shout out to Coach Ronnie Fields for coming on the show. We really appreciate you, sir, and your flowers to you for everything that you have contributed to this city, to this culture, to this nation when it comes to the simple game of basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I want to shout out my guy Bo Harris sitting across the board over there, AGM Plus. Obviously, I always want to shout out my guy Tyree Booker of Numerex, Derek Ellison, who's my guy. Both those guys, as you know, have been, were and continue to be huge supporters of the platform. We got September the 8th. We have Crown the Queens tournament down at Wintrust Arena.
3 days away.
3 days away. We finally doing something for the young ladies. So we got an event where the young ladies are going to get a chance to play on Wintrust Arena, and then they're going to get a chance to also see the Sky game. So we got jerseys. They're going to get a chance to play on the floor, get their names up in the scoreboard. We quietly doing our thing up here.
Keep it.
We quietly doing our thing, and then of course October 28th we got the Chi-Town Showcase down at 167 Green. I have confirmed some top players that are going to be there. I have confirmed one player who is the top player out of my home state, let alone or in conjunction with my home city.
Say that.
You know what I'm saying? We're not putting no names out there yet, but if you do your homework and you do your math, 1 + 1 = 2. You can figure that shit out on your own. And on that note, we are gone.